The invitation arrived on a quiet morning when the sun was already high, its light spilling through cracked window panes and settling on the worn kitchen table like a reminder that the day at least was moving forward. Mara Ellison stood frozen, holding the thick, cream-colored envelope as if it might burn her fingers. Her ex-husband's name was embossed in elegant gold letters, confident and polished, the kind of name that no longer belonged to the life she lived. For a moment, the room felt too small, the air too thin, because the past she had worked so hard to survive had suddenly found her again. Before the story goes any further, take a moment. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that life can change when we least expect it, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Acts of Kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Mara had once imagined a future with Rowan Hale that looked nothing like this. Years ago, she had been the hopeful one, the woman who believed love could outlast hardship. But when Rowan's ambitions grew sharper and his patience thinner, she became an inconvenience rather than a partner. The divorce had been swift and quiet, leaving her with little more than memories and the ache of starting over. When she discovered she was pregnant shortly after, the distance between them turned into a canyon. Rowan dismissed the timing, the responsibility, and eventually, her. Mara walked away carrying not only her grief, but two tiny lives that would soon define every breath she took. The years that followed were a blur of daylight struggles. Mara worked early mornings at a neighborhood bakery, the smell of fresh bread clinging to her clothes as she rushed to daycare before closing time. Afternoons were spent tutoring after-school kids for extra cash, evenings sewing repairs under a buzzing lamp while her twins slept nearby. Life was hard, but it was honest. Every sacrifice she made was for Jonah and Elia, the boy and girl who filled her days with laughter and exhaustion in equal measure. She taught them resilience not through words, but through the quiet way she kept going, even when hope felt thin. Rowan, on the other hand, had thrived. His career soared, his social circle expanded, and his name appeared in business sections of glossy magazines. When the invitation announced his upcoming wedding to a woman described as accomplished and refined, it felt less like an invite and more like a reminder of everything Mara was told she had lost. Yet beneath the sting was something else, a sense that this moment mattered more than she understood. She almost declined. Pride whispered that she had no place there, no reason to reopen old wounds. But then she looked at Jonah and Elia, their faces bright in the daylight, as they sprawled on the living room floor, drawing pictures of futures they believed were limitless. She realized that hiding would teach them nothing. Showing up, standing tall despite fear, would teach them everything. What Rowan did not know was that Mara's life had quietly changed in ways he never imagined. 2 years earlier, during a volunteer event organized by the bakery, she had met Lucian Crowe, a reserved philanthropist whose wealth was rivaled only by his humility. He noticed her patience with children, her refusal to complain, her instinct to help without expecting anything back. Over time, their lives intertwined gently, not through grand gestures but through consistent care. Lucian never tried to rescue Mara. Instead, he invested in her dreams, helped her start a small but growing community education foundation, and stood beside her as an equal. Love found her again, not as fireworks, but as steady light. When Mara mentioned the wedding invitation, Lucian listened without judgment. He offered support without pressure. In the end, it was Jonah and Elia who made the decision for her, excited by the idea of seeing where their mother once lived her other life. Lucian suggested traveling together, not to impress anyone, but to ensure the journey felt safe and dignified. The wedding day arrived under a bright open sky. Sunlight reflected off glass towers near the seaside venue, everything bathed in the clarity of midday. Guests gathered in elegant attire, murmuring with anticipation as luxury cars lined the entrance. Conversations paused when a sleek private jet descended nearby, its shadow gliding across the pavement. Few recognized the significance of the moment, but all felt it. Mara stepped out first, calm and composed, her dress simple yet graceful, confidence woven into every movement. Behind her came Jonah and Elia, their small hands steady in hers, curiosity shining in their eyes. Lucien followed, unobtrusive but undeniably present, his posture protective without being possessive. Whispers rippled through the crowd, curiosity turning to speculation, speculation to astonishment as recognition dawned. Rowan noticed them from across the terrace. At first, confusion flickered across his face, then disbelief. The woman he once dismissed as fragile now stood radiant, not because of wealth or status, but because she carried herself as someone who had survived and grown. The children at her side mirrored her strength, their resemblance unmistakable. In that instant, the weight of years pressed down on him, not as anger, but as realization. Throughout the ceremony, Mara remained a quiet presence, not seeking attention, yet impossible to ignore. She watched the vows with a reflective calm, not bitterness. Her heart had made peace with the past, and in doing so it freed her. Rowan, however, struggled to focus. Each glance toward Mara reminded him of choices made and paths abandoned. The success he celebrated felt incomplete, shadowed by the lives he never acknowledged. As daylight softened into a warm afternoon glow, the reception unfolded. Guests mingled, laughter echoing against the sea breeze. Jonah and Elia explored with wonder, their innocence disarming even the most guarded hearts. They spoke of school projects, of helping their mother teach kids who needed extra support, of dreams fueled not by entitlement, but by empathy. People listened, genuinely moved. Rowan eventually approached, his confidence tempered by humility. The moment was not dramatic, but it was profound. Standing before the family he once turned away from, he felt the quiet reckoning of a man forced to see the cost of his ambition. Mara met his gaze with kindness that surprised him. She did not demand apologies or explanations. Her life no longer needed his validation. What mattered was that Jonah and Elia stood unafraid, secure in the love surrounding them. Lucien remained nearby, not as a rival, but as proof that Mara's worth had always existed, waiting for someone who recognized it. As the afternoon continued, stories circulated about Mara's foundation, about children whose lives were changing because one woman refused to give up. Guests who had arrived expecting luxury left talking about resilience. Rowan's new beginning unfolded alongside the understanding that some endings shape us more than any success ever could. Just before the story reaches its final moments, if this journey has already stirred something inside you, please comment below and share what part resonated most with you. Your words mean more than you know. When the event drew to a close and the sun began its slow descent, Mara watched Jonah and Elia laugh freely, their joy unburdened by the past. She felt gratitude, not for the pain she endured, but for the strength it revealed. Boarding the jet to return home was not an escape, but a continuation of a life built on intention and love. For viewers watching, this is the moment to pause and reflect. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that dignity, kindness, and perseverance can rewrite even the most painful chapters, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your engagement helps keep these stories alive. And before the ending fades, a special request from the heart. Comment the word hope if you believe that no past defines a future, and that every person deserves to rise. As the jet lifted into the bright afternoon sky, Mara closed her eyes, not in relief, but in quiet triumph. She had shown her children that courage is not loud, that success is not always visible, and that sometimes the greatest arrival is simply becoming who you were always meant to be.